Hi everyone, welcome to BIMco Bytes. Today's session we'll be talking about furniture reports using Microsoft Access. So we do get this question a lot, asking if there is a way to customize schedules that we use in a project in Revit. So today I'm going to show yes, it is possible to customize your appearance of schedules, and we'll work through how it's done with a bit of assistance from database files and using Revit database files and Microsoft Access to manipulate those fields. So as a quick example, I'll show you of a quick report that has been produced obtaining to Revit information. So you can kind of see page by page furniture report utilizing the types. So one furniture type per each page, as you can kind of see. So we're going to work through that and how we can achieve that. And as a quick reference, this is a template that it's been utilized from. So to produce that 13-page report, it's utilizing this one template with all the necessary fields in there. All right, cool. So first to show you a bit of a background of the data that we are using from Revit to utilize in Access. So I'll show you a 3D view of the bimco Soho project. So it's quite a small project, but big enough to digest the information of what we're going to talk about today, essentially. So what we're looking into is we're going to produce a furniture type schedule report. So as an example, what I'll do is I'll filter this 3D view, show the furniture items, just to show you what we're dealing with today. So as an example, if we go and click on a furniture item, go to edit type, you can kind of see I've already filled out some specific fields in terms of what we want the report to produce today. So you can kind of see some text fields and a bit more information filled out under the identity data in here. So this information is important just to kind of know that, yeah, there is information in there, and then we can pull that information onto that access file. So if you want a quick rundown of what it looks like in a Revit schedule, so this is just kind of like a line-to-line item of the furniture types that are in this project, and just a breakdown of what fields have already been filled out in here already. So you don't need to worry too much of what the fields are in here, but just to know that they do exist and they've all been filled out for you. All right, so what we want to do is we want to extract this data and then put it into the Microsoft Access file. So I find the easiest way to do this, to export this data, is via this add-in and then an extension called Revit DB link. So I'm not going to really go through with you too much today about how and explain what DB link is. We do actually have a BIMco Bytes video on this already, which comes into a bit more detail of what it is, the installation requirements and everything like that. But what I do want to show you is that, this is the button to click on to export a database file. There are other methods to do that, but I do find this way is an easiest method. So technically, in order to extract or export a database file is, to click on that add-in DB link, and then you come up with a window like this. You select a connection, but if you do already have one that has been connected already, a database file, you can already select one that has been created earlier. I won't press the export button right now because it does take a bit of time to load. However, I do actually have one that's prepared earlier. So if I go to put the database file in here now, so essentially when you export the database file, it's just going to look like this essentially. So a whole lot of tables in there, basically with unfiltered data. So I'll show you an example of a furniture one. So essentially to access this, you just type in furniture, it filters it out a bit further. So if I click on furniture types as an example, so you can kind of see there's a few blanks and a few bits of information in there. So the reason for this is all those furniture types are actually in the Revit project, but it may not necessarily be put in a view. So technically, yes, you might see this as a list in the project browser, but it might not necessarily be in the project. So if we kind of expand this a bit further, we can kind of see that there's 35 types in the Revit project. You can actually filter this out a bit further if you kind of want to, just to not show the blanks. And then you can kind of see, yep, it's kind of updated this value to 13 items. So there's 13 types that are used in the project per view, essentially. So I'm just going to unfilter that. And probably another reference that I want to show you today is just the furniture. So you can kind of see over here, there's 27 items that are in the project that are used that are furniture elements. And then so if we go back to this Revit file, it's kind of adding it all up here too. So you can kind of see the count in here, all of these items here are matching to what you find in Microsoft Access here. So the next thing I kind of want to show you is creating a query. So this will kind of establish the relationships between the different categories and how they talk to each other. So currently with these existing tables, they're kind of a table via a category used essentially. So pretty much data sorted in there to their own category, not referencing any other information in there. So if I go back to the furniture item, so I'll just type that in again. I'm just going to create a query. So in order to create a query, you go create, and then we'll just go to this query designer here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some tables in here. And then just to utilize some of this information, just to connect the two different fields that are available. So this is just a quick query. So as an example, I'm just going to put a few types in here, and I'll show you what happens when we run the query. So as an example, I'm just going to utilize the keynotes to show the type names. So I'm looking at the furniture now. So I've done two tables here with different categories here. I'm going to put type ID in here as well. But this type, even though it's a double up of those parameters, I'm actually going to do a count of how many are used in the project. So then I do a quick run. So you can kind of see already, I've kind of put the type name and the type ID of the furniture just to show that it's a matching value. And it's kind of counted all of the types of how many furniture elements are used within that one category. So that's all information from Revit, but I've just done it as a query. So you can kind of see the differences in there. So you can also filter it to show if you just want to only show keynotes and type ID. Yeah, so that's kind of a quick rundown on how to create a query. So I'm just going to save it a copy. I'll just call it furniture query. I hit OK. And then I'll just close this down for now. So you can kind of see now. So before I had typed in that query, we only had tables that have just been taken from the database of the Revit file. And now we've got an extra item in here called a furniture query. So, you can always come back if you need to, ask a new query or do a new query, you can just edit those details in there essentially. All right, so now that we know how to do queries, let's try and attempt to make a report based on what we've shown earlier, kind of like along the lines of what you can see here through Access. So this is kind of how you do the customization of the schedule appearance over here. So we'll be working with furniture again. So to create a report, we go under Create, and then I like to do a blank report just so you can customize it a bit easier. Otherwise, if you do these other ones, it will kind of pre-populate the fields for you too, which is also good, but just kind of adds a bit more customization to what you're after. And I like to kind of do it under a design view so you can kind of see the grids of what you're working with. All right, so let's add some fields to this report. So we've got the report design here. So you can utilize anything that's occurring on here. So just quick few fields that I'll put in. So let's just put a page number. Let's put at the bottom of the page on the right, and then page N of M, go okay. So that's just a quick one of how we can actually add a footer. We can also add some existing fields to kind of create the data from pulling it from Revit. So if we just go to add existing fields, we can actually show all the tables, but I want to only for today show furniture types. So we'll just add the relevant ones in there that we want to put in. So put a keynote one in and then just roughly place it. So usually with this, like you'll require a bit of formatting with the work later on, but just to show you like how easy it is just to kind of add information in. We'll go with a description here as well. I'll just put it under the header to put that here. I'm just going to go with the type name. I'm just going to put a few in for now because we'll refer to the other one that was referenced at the beginning of the class, and then we can play around with those filters on there. I'll just do cost in here. And probably the last one that I'll put for now is the spec file path. So this spec file path is basically the file path of the image that we want to produce for each page. All right, cool. So let's do a quick print preview and we'll see what it appears like. So there's probably not too much that you can see here, but it's already generating information based on those few values I've just put in now. So it is getting information in there, but obviously there's a lot of work to be done with the filters and all of that just to get it to less items and just to make sure there's some spaces that aren't blank essentially. So we'll go back to the design view. And then what we'll do next is we will go to report properties. So what I might do is, so you can see that there's a filter property in here. So let's just do a quick formula. So just an easy one. So just say if the value has a cost, we'll just say more than 0. It will essentially filter it out. So hopefully this should work. So what I might do is I'll just minimize this for now. I'll just save it as report 1. Go back to it because sometimes, yeah, if it does a refresh on load, that's kind of how it refreshes itself. But now if we go back to the print preview again, see now it's kind of getting there, as you can kind of see. So now that there's values of each item in there, so when we go through the list, there's no blanks now. So we've filtered a bit further, which is good, and it's only 7 pages. So yep, so that's kind of promising. So we'll just go back to here again. So to do a bit more, so it will take a bit of finessing to format it and everything. So like, you can, if you want the page to be bigger and you want to fill a bit more information, you'll just have to kind of, extend the page to what you want. And yeah, so showing back on the print preview again, so we've got like the default values, like, you've got the labels of what the title is and then the fields of what it says under the description. So you can actually modify some of those values. So say if we want to call the type name, I think I did it under dimensions. You can rename these. It'll still show the field. And if you need to extend these a bit further, it is possible to do that too and move it around. So yeah, it just takes a bit of finessing to get it to look how exactly you want. But these are essentially the basic concepts of how it's done. So say if we don't need that description title, just remove it. And then we'll go back to the print preview again. So it's just going to not have the description title. It's just going to have those elements in there. And then, you can kind of work through the items and go through what you need. All right, so another item that I kind of want to show you is you can kind of see in this version, we've got an image in there. So what I want to do is I'll show you how to do that on the Microsoft Access file. So you can kind of see already, so this kind of is like a placeholder for now, this spec file path. So the actual spec file path you can kind of see is basically a file path, very, very long file path which hasn't quite, I guess, obviously extends beyond this field, but it's a file path of where that image is kept. So in order to create that image, we go through here and then we just place it roughly on here. Just X that out. So what we can do is we click on that, go to the control source. So this is the placeholder why it is kind of good to select it. So, you know, it narrows down the list a bit further for the items that are actually already available in this report. So we'll just go spec file path. And then hopefully in the print preview, you get your images in there. So you can kind of see it's pretty dynamic in terms of, you know, you can actually see that information now. So you can just go back and forth and yeah, it's all in there for you. And one last thing I do want to show you today, I won't work with this demo one that I've been showing you in class. I'll utilize one that I created a bit earlier. So the one that's based on the PDF result that has been shown. So another cool thing that you can do with this is you can kind of see already in the print preview, we've got our sorting of our print numbers based on the keynotes currently, but you can actually change the sorting through other means as well. So as an example, so if you click on this group and sort page, you can kind of see already I've got the keynote one. So say if I wanted just to do it by a description, it should do the print order based on, you know, alphabetical order of what the description value is. So that's pretty handy if you kind of want to just do a quick check on, yeah, just to, you know, reshuffle how you want to print the information. So that's pretty handy as well.